Good afternoon. My name is Christina Refolo and I'm the founding director of Refolo Landscape Architects. The Fourfields Cheshunt scheme was submitted for the awards category 4 early housing schemes not yet completed but with a firm commitment to deliver and maintain high quality SuDS. The site is located in the borough of Broxbourne in Hertfordshire. It is part of a reserved matters application with a complete redesign. The area is 5,000 square metres and the low-carbon landscape-led master plan includes 15 homes with 40% affordable. The scheme strongly addresses the climate change emergency as declared by Hertfordshire County Council. A landscape-led master plan by Refolo Landscape Architects. The scheme embraces a multidisciplinary approach from the very early stages of the design process. The client for the scheme is Hearts Living, with Mace as project lead and architect. Drainage engineers are Price and Myers, planning consultants Turley, arboricultural consultants Tree Works Environmental Practice, ecologist Elmo Consulting and transport engineers TTP Consulting. The SuDS design approach took into consideration the surrounding land and its context. The site is located in the Rags Valley, gently sloping towards Rags Brook. The underlying soil structure is impermeable, which calls for an efficient SuDS management train consisting of a cascade of components, improving water quality before discharging into the Rags Brook. Starting from a contextual assessment, the early sketch concept from the landscape architect placed the SuDS elements as the drivers of the design process. The scheme then evolved into a developed master plan with SuDS at its fulcrum. Design development consists of a multidisciplinary, simultaneous, holistic approach in layers, making use of 3D modelling and GIS software. The communal areas included rain gardens, SuDS tree pit, exceedance flow paths into soft landscape areas and permeable paving. Within the private arena, these included bioretention planters and water butts connected with the rainwater downpipes and green roofs on refuse stores and cycle stores. The site was divided into two distinctive catchment areas with an interconnected system of SuDS components above and below ground. The achieved runoff rate was 2.5 litres per second from existing 117.9. The design aims to provide a resilient and vibrant amenity space with wildlife and natural play features. This creates a healthy community, fostering social cohesion. The site creates new ecological habitats with a biodiversity net gain of 37% in habitat units and 41% in hedgerow units. The design starts from and reconnects to a wider context. The Rags Brook is a tributary to the small River Lee, and therefore the SuDS strategy within Fourfields has wide-reaching benefits for all. A landscape-led scheme is about not seeing a design in isolation. The scheme achieves a multitude of benefits. It treats stormwater close to its source, it reduces the runoff rates, it improves water quality, stores rainwater, increases habitat, reduces local heat island effect, creates a vibrant amenity that sequesters carbon, and significantly increases biodiversity across the site. This brings benefit to the wider context, and all the four pillars of SuDS were addressed. The success of the scheme ultimately lies on ongoing maintenance and water quality monitoring. This scheme would not have been possible if it weren't for the excellent communication amongst the multidisciplinary team and the vital commitment to sustainability by Hearts Living and Mace. The landscape-led approach allowed the landscape architect to incorporate the nature-based SuDS solutions early on in the design process and was able to draw together all disciplines towards a communal central goal, combining stormwater management with the complex interface between the human habitat and the natural world. A big thank you to all those involved.
At Skelton Lakes on a cold, brisk April morning, service station built specifically for the M1, as you can see in the background there, and just here to talk a little bit about the green roof, the components and the importance of them. Just as components, you can see in the background, the one that spans the hotel over there, that's a combination of retention systems, web systems to hold it in place. As you can see, it's quite steep, and some of the importance of that is obviously holding it in place, but also the drainage element to it as well, allowing the free flow of water underneath, so again it doesn't oversaturate, doesn't sag, doesn't slump. There is an irrigation system that runs through this green roof just to support it when you get prolonged periods of drought, or again if you get freak weather conditions like we did last year where it is really warm. But the rest of the time the drainage composite acts as an irrigation, stores moisture for the plants, so when it does get a little bit dry, evapotranspiration can actually pull through and feed them. Also, one of the key design intents here at Skelton was the biodiversity, to encourage wildlife, ground nesting invertebrates, birds. Here you can see there's the RSPB viewing gallery, which overlooks the amenity area and the lake itself, just all to encourage biodiversity and wildlife to the site itself and improve the aesthetics of the building. As you can see, we're still in April, so the wildflowers themselves aren't flowering currently, obviously still just in early stages, and the pictures you'll see will show the aspects and the wildflowers which were specifically chosen for this site to blend in with the natural habitat. And also part of the design team and the landscape architects and everyone involved with this project, one of the key things was to actually produce things locally. So this particular blanket was grown only 15 miles up the road, to again encourage everything as much as possible within this project to be locally sourced and locally produced. Another key element of the design here at Skelton was also to integrate a holistic view and a holistic approach to the environment around as well. So not only was the green roof there for aesthetics, for SuDS, for wildlife, but also to blend in with everything else going on. As you can see, there's nature trails and paths now which go all the way around the lake and integrate within as part of the service station amenity. So next time you pass in, the M1 is literally just off there. Pop in, grab something to eat, come up to the viewing platform and actually see it for yourself, because until you do, you don't really understand what has been achieved with this green roof and this development that they've got here at Skelton Lakes.
The Guildford Crematorium development is a project that began back in 2016 and has subsequently been constructed and has been operational for the past 5 years. The project team consisted of Guildford Borough Council, who were ultimately the client for the project, us, Elliott Wood, acting as the civil and structural engineers, Haverstock were acting as the architects, Plinky did the landscape architecture, RHB Partnership did the M&E engineering, and Buxton were the principal contractor. The existing site is located approximately 2.5 kilometres south of Guildford town centre, just south of the village of Peasmarsh. Prior to the site development in 2016-17, the existing crematorium building and site-wide infrastructure had come to the end of their natural lives, both in terms of capacity and functionality. The site outfalls to a watercourse along the southern boundary, and the traditional existing drainage network meant that runoff into the watercourse was uncontrolled, both in terms of flow rate and water quality. The existing site had a number of constraints, which included extensive areas of no dig, a large span across the site with a shallow outfall, and the fact the site was a fully functioning crematorium pre-development, which was largely kept operational throughout construction. The proposed works included the demolition of the existing crematorium building, which was replaced with a new chapel, floral tribute, reflection pool and book of remembrance structure. Access road alterations provided improved flow throughout the site, and an enlarged visitors car park was proposed to cater for future site demands. The site scheme had to be sympathetic to the usage of the site, both post-development and during construction. It needed to be seamlessly incorporated into a sophisticated landscaping strategy in order to maintain the overall elegance of the development. The strategy for the site-wide access roads was to avoid a traditional gully system and drain towards roadside swales and filter drains. This provided runoff and water quality benefits, as well as providing a shallow method of surface water conveyance across the site. Permeable parking bays were installed across the visitors car park, and the entire car park subbase was used to attenuate runoff and convey water across the site. Below ground geocellular attenuation was used sparingly and only where absolutely necessary. Each proposed SuDS device was linked to the next, providing a continuous SuDS treatment train until runoff entered the downstream watercourse. Rills and reflection pools were also introduced into the landscaping strategy in order to achieve a tranquil environment. Although these were not directly linked to the SuDS devices, they contributed to the wider ethos of showcasing water as an asset. The close-knit SuDS strategy and landscaping proposals ultimately provide a welcoming surrounding for mourners to remember loved ones throughout all stages of grief.